cinema has largely been male dominated, but this trend seems to be changing for the better. Over the years, incredible women have emerged as successful producers and are crafting the new narrative of the business. In this session, we discuss the journeys of the women producers and also throw light on what is it that they bring to the table that is different from their male counterparts. To discuss this, may I please invite on stage Mr. Bharadwaj Rangan, film critic and editor, Film Companion South, who will be moderating the session, and the speakers, Ms. Shareen Mantri Kedia, founder and director, Nama Pictures, Ms. Nandita Roy, producer, Windows Productions, Ms. Saundarya Rajnikant, Managing Director of May 6 Entertainment, Ms. Dominique Welinsky, Founder and Head of Production, DW, and Ms. Aditi Anand, Promoter, Director of Little Red Car Films. Over to you, Bharadwaj. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. It's lovely to be here. And I don't know if some of you feel that this session should have had a female moderator. I don't know what you think. But, well, you're stuck with me. But I want to ask you one thing, begin by asking you one thing. You know, Shabana Azmi says this, that she hates being called an actress because she says she's doing the same job as an actor, a male actor. So why should you call me an actress? There's no word called tailoress. Both, if there's a male tailor, there's a female tailor, they're both tailors. So she said we should call everybody an actor, and that will bring about some kind of, equality and recognition. What do you feel about this session being about women producers as opposed to producers? Yeah, you can start.
A very good evening to everyone. It's an honor to be here on this panel and have this discussion. To answer your question, I think, personally speaking, I'd prefer to be called a producer than a woman producer, because it's not the gender that wears the hat, it's the person and the creativity that's inside the head. So with regard to actress and actor and all that also, I think it's come to the fact, to a place today where people are not really looking at the gender, they're just looking at what the person can do professionally. So personally, I would prefer to be called a producer, and I know I'm on a panel about women producers, but would prefer the producer title.
I totally would, agree with that, because, the process of filmmaking is actually the same thing, irrespective of the gender. So, I totally agree with that, we should just be called as film producers. I mean, that's a better term.
Aditi, I want to just tweak that question a bit for you. It's like, has there been a difference that you felt when you maybe pitched a project or something like that, and maybe something felt different because of your gender that might not have happened to somebody else had they been male?
So, can I link your question to the first question, because I like the first question?
Okay, please feel free.
I have to disagree with my dear friends on this side. I think if the term that we were, talking about was produceress, yeah, perhaps, I'd say, no, I don't want to be a produceress. But I hold the woman in my title, woman producer, I hold it proudly. I think that there's a lot of women, not just in film, but outside, who have worked really hard to be able to create a dais and a platform like this. And for me, I would say that now is the time, and now is the time for women to claim that space. And even if somebody doesn't call me a producer, I in fact make it a point to constantly mention that I am a woman and I'm very proudly a woman producer. So in response to your question, I've in fact found that the whole paradigm has shifted completely. I mean, I suppose when you say it's a paradigm shift, it means that it's completely changed. But the truth is that I think that especially in the last couple of years, the fact that you are presenting a project or presenting yourself, I think being a woman has opened up so many new avenues and so many new places to go to and so many new paths. I would say that in fact, and I totally recognize my position of privilege in this, I totally recognize that there's a different reality also, you know. But from this privileged position, I would say yes, being a woman has certainly changed the way that people have responded to me, but in essence and in general, it's been positive and not negative.
In France, the point is that we have two different worlds for a woman producer and a man producer. So it's clear on the spot that it's producteur and productrice. So this is clear. The gender is clear on paper. So we have a lot of female producer, women producer in France, and I can only speak on my personal experience. I never get the feeling that it would be a disadvantage to be a woman. On my side, I take it as an advantage, especially in terms of working with the directors and the creative part of it, because I bring my woman sensitivity there. And in terms of facing the institution and co-producing and so on, I personally never felt I was misrespected because I was a woman. So, in fact, I never really needed to claim about this specific position, but I also know that this special sensitivity helped me to set up like specific relationship with the creative team I'm working with.
Right.
Hello, friends. Is it okay? Hello. Good evening, everybody. Personally, to me, it does not matter whether people call me a woman producer or a producer. I'm a producer, I know that, and that's it. So it hardly matters. This gender discrimination is for people who really think about it, not for the people who really work at it. I'm lucky in a way because my co-producer, my partner is also with me and he's a male. So we divide our duties. So our work is very balanced in that sense. In that way, I think that we are very lucky because when we do a project, I can bring in my sensibilities and he can bring in his. So then we can have a very balanced piece of work. So I am lucky in that way. But yes, I love being a producer. I love to don the hat. And I have an advantage of age and experience. So, and my partner is very young. So I look the part of a producer more than he does. So I get more respect. And frankly, I have not faced many hurdles on my way to being a producer. Probably because I belong to West Bengal, which I think is a very liberal state, and they respect the women there. And our path is really much more easier than probably in other states. I don't know about your other states, but I know that in West Bengal, life has not been very difficult for me because probably the creases that came up were handled by my partner because he's a male, and I was left to do the creative work. So we work it out very well among ourselves. So I am at an advantage, and let me tell you this, I love being a producer, a woman producer, whatever it is. I love doing the job I do.
Sorry, sir, 1 second, just to answer Aditi. I think I agree with what ma'am has to say because gender discrimination is never going to go until and unless you stop adding these tags of what a person does. And I'm very proud to be a woman. It doesn't mean I have to have the title of being a woman producer in specific. So yeah, so Aditi, with all due respect, I respect your opinion, but my opinion still stays the same.
So when, she brought up an interesting thing about West Bengal. Uh, can you hear me? Yeah. So no, that's fine. So I mean, each one of you is from a different region, right? And every region has its own. When you talk about filmmaking, every region has its own eccentricities, the way people behave towards others. Like, for example, Tamil Nadu is not really known for being very. There's a huge patriarchal culture in the film industry itself in terms of how women are right from a lot of things. Now, have you heard about? Now I'm going to ask you a slightly unfair question. Because of your lineage, people are going to, not treat you on par with a lot of other people, right? Because, they're not going to proverbially try to pull a shady deal or something like that. Have you heard of like women who've had a tough time trying to make a film because they did not have connections or something like that? Or is it the same for every whether it's male or female, if, it's just the same for everybody?
There were 2-3 questions in that.
Right.
So one of it is there an advantage coming from the film industry? Yes, but there is a disadvantage too. Because as much as access is easy for us, the expectation on us is exactly what our parents have achieved over so many years.
Right.
And second, I think it's different roles you're talking about the industry. You're talking before the camera, you're talking behind the camera, you're talking technical, even if you talk about a director's team, right? From assistant directors, they're editors' assistants and camera assistants. And so I think what is consciously happening now is there are female directors and producers stepping out. It doesn't necessarily have to come from a lineage of cinema. It can be people who have that vision and that passion to say stories. And I think there have been a few successful directors and producers in South, slowly but surely. And I think me as a producer and a director, what I'm consciously doing is trying to get more women to be a part of the entire process of making a movie, and not just in the costume department or the makeup department,
Right, that was...
or the assistants to actresses.
Right.
Because that is something it's a myth that those are the only roles that women can play in cinema. So I work with writers who are women. I work with cinematographers who are women. I work with editors who are women. And I think to some extent that's because I'm a woman and I want to make sure that I use that angle as a producer to encourage more women, which I think other male producers should also kind of focus more on.
Right. So, Aditi, I wanted to ask you this, but she's kind of, jumped the gun. So, as a woman producer, do you feel that I should, empower more women, or do you take that as a responsibility upon yourself to hire more women on your set or on behind the scenes, or or is it just like this person is just going to come solely on the basis of their qualification?
So actually, I think that's quite a. No, do you want to?
No.
I think that's quite a complex question because I don't think that we should kind of hang this albatross on the necks of women, saying, well, now you are responsible for ensuring, that there are more and more women employed, etc., etc. No, I mean, women producers should be allowed to go out there to go from a point of view of making better cinema, but more profit, kind of empowering themselves and enriching themselves. And I don't think, so in general, do I believe that that's something that should be true across the board? No. Do I take it as a moral responsibility? Yes, to a certain extent, but I think that only comes after a certain point, I think today I would say certainly, if you've managed to crack open a door and get to a room which is, pretty exclusive or privileged, I would say that now is the time to kick that door wide open and have, many, 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 many more allies in that room, so you kind of change the whole culture of that room. And in that sense, I think that is definitely happening. You can see it in the stories that are being told. You can see it in the way that sets are being run. Last month, I had the privilege of meeting somebody from SIFA, which is the South Indian Film Workers Association, I believe. And I was tremendously inspired by the work that they were doing, because it was really fundamental, systemic work on the ground talking about people's legal rights, contractual rights, just their ability to be able to access clean utilities on set. I mean, I think these are the things that fundamentally shift work cultures, and I do believe that that's happening, and I think it is important for all of us to be part of that shift in different ways.
You do believe that to be happening where? World over?
Look, I can't really speak for world over
So that's
because,
what I wanted, yeah.
but certainly in the work environment that I find myself in, from where we started, I was, back when, let's say I was an intern, to now, I certainly find that there is a shift in the way that, in the way that one goes about crewing up, in the fact that people are asking for their rights, they're asking for compensation, in the fact that there is certainly a need to create safer, much safer sets, much safer work environments. And I think in that sense, I do believe, and I would say this proudly, we're all probably part of that cultural shift. And to that extent, I think it is a moral responsibility.
Right. Shireen, can you tell us what your journey has been as a woman producer?
So, personally, I mean, it has been a pretty smooth journey. I mean, I started out being a still photographer, did a lot of commercials, music videos, and then slowly progressed into making features. I started with Beyond the Clouds, where we got Mr. Majidi to India to do the film. And we actually chased him for 4 or 5 years to actually, have him to do a film in India. And going forward, I did the series Karanjit Kaur, which was Sunny Leon's life story, and Anandi Gopal recently, which is playing at the Panorama. So personally, it's been smooth. I think you have to have the vision, and you have to believe in yourself that, okay, this is what, you have to basically be at it. And it's all going to be right. It'll all fall through right.
Okay.
So yeah, I personally believe that. So yeah, I always take one step at a time. So it's been one thing to the other.
Okay. Dominique, I'm going to ask you this question based on what Kathleen Kennedy said. She's this famous Hollywood producer who's done films like E.T. and Indiana Jones, and it's not just women's films, right? She's one of the most powerful women in Hollywood today. She said, the producer in effect has to work as a translator. You form a very tight relationship with the director and writer from the beginning, and then you are constantly communicating to the various people that begin to come into the process as you are trying to hold on to a vision over a long period of time. Is that how people work in France as well?
I have the feeling that even though we don't get to the same result at the end of the day, in terms of, admissions and so on, I think the spirit is the same. But to try to answer the previous question, I'm running a program, a short film program, which opened Directors Fortnight for a couple of years, which couple young directors from all over the world with local directors in different countries from where I have the feeling we don't see enough films. So I've been running this program in Taipei, in Finland, in Chile, South Africa, Lebanon, Tunisia, and former Yugoslavia last year. And every year I do men-women couple in terms of directors. And I'm just trying also to balance in terms of crew, and this is where I think I never find a feminine crew most of the time. South Africa, I was looking for a woman GOP. There is not one woman GOP in South Africa.
Okay.
So the problem, but on the creative side, like a director, I think you grow up by yourself, you can learn by yourself, you are not to go through a school. But in terms of crew and technician, the point should go back to the education. And I didn't find one woman GOP in South Africa, not one in Chile, Tunisia, no. Lebanon, there is a couple of them. So in this country, the field where you find a woman is editing. And in France, I mean, in the past time when the cinema did start, the editing was for women because, I mean, they were not creative at the time. They were like, they had to be precise, so they did hire women, you know, to put the glue and to cut precisely, like sewing, which, I mean, and so editing became a more a woman territory. And we have now a new generation of the great women GOPs.
Okay.
And we are awarded all around. So editing, GOP now, but then when it's about more and the point is that in the crew, all the more physical work, women are not considered, for sure. You can see in the crew, like you have a woman, a gaffer, and so on. I think it's quite difficult for them. But all the way worldwide, it's really, I think, a matter of education. We have to start earlier to make sure to find women at the last stage.
Right.
And in terms of feature, I've been working both with women and men, but when I read a script, I mean, I think like only in reading a script, I can guess if it's written by a man or a woman. Sometimes I'm wrong. But I consider the script. I don't consider the gender.
Right. Now, taking off from where you left, I'm going to ask all of you this question. Last year at Cannes, there was a big, I wouldn't call it a demonstration, but several actresses stood up for the fact that there wasn't enough representation of films directed by women in the competition. Does such a thing also not go back to what you said, that it's only now that generations of women are actually entering film schools and things like that, and therefore it's going to be some time before we get the volumes of films by women that we are now, that traditionally have been made by men, simply because the number of directors, you know, yes, there was Leni Riefenstahl, there was all these other people, but like for every, that is like literally 1 in 100 or, you know, 1 in 1,000. I mean, what do you think about that issue? Do you think representation is important, or do you think it just boils down to quality of a film? Because they're both important issues.
Sure, this is a very large and difficult topic. Of course, we should consider the film first, and then perhaps there is a second layer. When you have the first part of the selection, you should consider the balance between men and women. But Cannes did sign the 50-50 2020 treaty, so let's see what's going to happen next Cannes.
Okay.
And at the same time, the director of Venice did a statement which was perhaps not fully, I mean, I didn't agree with all of it, but I think considering the film, it should to come first, has to come first.
What do you think, Nandita?
I personally feel that we have to do, as women producers, we have to do it. We have to take the chance and give women a chance, because I believe the statistics is ridiculous. There are very few women in the industry, and we can correct it. I am personally doing so too. Since last year, I have started films, women-centric films, that will be directed not only by women, written by women, and you know, trying to give most of the departments to women. And I tried that last year. In fact, I created a date also. You know, in Bengal we have these release dates, like popular release dates. People want to opt for Puja release, or for a Diwali release, or for a Christmas release, and those are the in those dates, a woman never will get a chance to release her film, being a newcomer. So I created a special day. I made Women's Day a special day. On every Women's Day, I am planning to bring out a film which is going to be directed by a woman. The main protagonist will be a woman, and so on and so forth. Like, I'm trying to have a woman DOP, a woman editor, in all branches, if I can put in women and have a film like that. In fact, I did it last year, and that film was a huge success. It was made on a shoestring budget, and it really made it turned out to be a blockbuster, and well, it showed the men folk out there that yes, we women can do it.
Can you name the film so people?
Yes,
Yeah.
the name of the film is Mukherjee Dar Beau. It's a Bengali film. It's Mukherjee Dar Beau. The story is also about a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law's relationship. So it's about a woman's relationship with another woman, and everything surrounding that was a woman. I was a creative producer of that film too. I helped them along, and we got success with that film. So we are repeating it this year too. This year too also we are bringing out another woman-centric film, also again written by a woman, though this time directed by a male director. The other departments are also looked after by women, and this film is also about a woman priestess who tries to take on all the taboos of society. So in my way, I am trying to bring more and more women into the industry. I hope I'm successful because not many women come forward, you know. I don't know why. There are very few women who come forward and say that I want to be a producer or a director. Film schools are now churning out a lot more women who are looking for more production houses. But I still think that it's a worldwide phenomenon, and the statistics is ridiculous, and we need more women out here because basically I think women tell the best stories. Who else?
Do you agree with that, Shireen?
Absolutely. I mean, women should empower women, and you know, on most of my projects, I do have a lot of women, very talented women. Like I did the Karanjeet Kaur Sunny Leon's biopic web series, and we had about 80% women that were the crew on set. I mean, the cinematographer, you know, to the art department, to the makeup, to costume. So it was great fun, even bonding, you know, with women. So you enjoy the process as well. And, you know, going forward, we are making sure that there are more women that are part of our teams. So yeah, for sure.
You know, Nandita said a very interesting thing. She said women-centric films. What do you think? I'm putting this question to Saundarya and to Aditi because your last films had a male protagonist. So, and a very macho, powerful thing, which is something that Farah Khan also says, that just because I'm a woman, I don't want to keep making, you know, films that people consider women-centric. I just want to make the films that I enjoy making and I enjoy watching. And I grew up with all these masala films, so I want to make a big macho main hoon na kind of movie, and I don't want to, you know, but that's her. What do you feel about that?
I think there are a lot of beautiful stories out there, and but it's just a fact that a man thinks differently and a woman thinks differently. Perspective is very different, and you know the way you see things and you deal with things. Even when you're talking about a couple, a silly fight, a man looks at it differently, a woman looks at it differently. So I think it comes down to the story. And in my last film, I did not sit consciously and talk about giving extra importance to the woman character or lesser importance to the guy. I just went with what that particular story required. And that's what a filmmaker should do. And a producer is how do you say, the parent of the entire film, and the director kind of, you know, brings the child up and, you know, gives it that nourishment and everything. So I think both these roles of a producer and a director, even if it's a woman directing it or a man directing it, it should focus on the content and not just to prove a point, saying, you know, I'm going to insult the man here because I want to prove a point that a woman can do that on screen. I don't think it should come down to that.
Absolutely.
Because cinema is a very powerful medium, and it's a medium that influences people, and people quote from movies as examples when they have situations in their personal lives. So as filmmakers, I think we have a great responsibility. And as women, I think we should be even more responsible because of this discrimination and why women are not given importance. We should use it in a positive way and not misuse it, because I believe in an equal world, and that's why I don't believe in this tag of a woman and a man separately. This is just my personal opinion.
Please disagree.
She and I are going to clash this entire session.
Please disagree, Aditi, please.
She's going to disagree now.
No, actually, I'm not going to disagree. But I'm going to answer this from another perspective. I think we tend to look at the finished product, but we don't go kind of further down the supply chain to. It's not just about the opportunity to exhibit and to showcase. It's about the opportunity to actually make. And I think because you're talking specifically about films that are led by women actors, and I would say that when commerce changes, content changes. And in the case of films that are that have male protagonists, it's very easy to have a metric of success. So you have a reasonably well-established male star. So you're going to get X amount of theater screens. You're going to largely you're going to get this X percentage of occupancy. You'll get so many shows in the day. Your films are likely to last X number of weeks. So at the end of it, it'll spit out a number, and you know that if you make that film round about that number, you will have a reasonable formula for success. I think the thing is that we're so obsessed with the idea of the 100 crore club and the 200 crore club and the many kind of billion-dollar clubs, etc., that we've forgotten that actually the business side of films is about a return on investment. And if you look at some of the films that have been led by women, and we really start looking at the data, and I think it's important, I think the Geena Davis Institute is doing a lot of work on that. And has kind of brought out tools to really start, using algorithms and data to answer these questions. But if you start looking at the business of film as a return on investment, and then you start looking at the data of how films that have been led by women, because typically the above-the-line costs are much lower on those, I think you'll find that there's a very good metric for success, particularly, and here I'm talking about the Hindi film industry because that's something I'm a little bit more familiar with. I think that once we start sort of change the way we look at success commercially and in terms of commerce, we will likely be able to see that it makes more business sense to have films that are led by women. And I think that, so again, I would just say commerce changes content, and I think that's going to be a big change maker.
Is there something you agree with, Dominique? Commerce changes content?
I should have to think about it because I never did consider it this way. But I mean, in terms of
but this may also be a cultural thing,
storytelling, for the last couple of years in France, we had a couple of women directors directing genre film like horror, and they are. I mean, we don't usually. We are not into this kind of film in France. We don't know how to do that, and our directors export themselves to the US when they want to get into this field. But this women director did a huge success worldwide in terms of horror film, vampire, genre, and so on. And I don't know why. I mean, we do accept and we go to see this film when it's done by women, and the men have to export themselves. I don't know. So, but in terms of, but the point is also that the French cinema is really supported. I mean, we are not really into considering the money back and so on. I mean, we have to find the money for sure, but we don't have mainly private investors. So, but the only example I find is this genre film, like horror film and so on, and thriller, which were directed by women, which were in Cannes, and we did really good in the cinemas. And so there is a new generation of women telling, and they don't consider the genre when it's about a film.
Right. So we have about 12 minutes left. Any questions from the audience? Yeah.
Hi, this is Mahesh. The question is to Soundarya. Like anybody else, you also had your highs and lows, and you've always risen above like a phoenix bird. I want to ask you, what are your learnings from Ocker Studios especially with Kochadayan and Rana. And what is this May 6th? Is it your son's birthday or some numerology?
You seem
So
to have
two
done your
questions.
research, right? Everybody goes through ups and downs, and I think that's what life is. Otherwise, it'll be a straight line when a person dies. So I think people have to learn when they're down, and they have to be very humble when they're on top again. But life doesn't stop there or here; it keeps going on. So Orca Studios taught me so much because I'd completed my education and I was 22 years old when I had to handle a 100-member team handling CG for the film industry. So that taught me that it's not easy to lead people in anything, and you need to have patience and perseverance. And it also taught me a lot about human relationships, the people who stuck with me when I fell and the people who stuck with me only when I was on top. So Orca ended where it had to, and May 6th is my son's birthday, and it is my company that's producing content now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Alka. I have a question for you, Bharadwaj, actually. The question is, I think it was the second question that, when you hire women, do you only look at quality or do you look at, and I just wanted to know, do you consider that a mutually exclusive
Not at all.
idea?
No.
And
no.
if the panelists also.
Right. So the reason I asked that is because there are, for instance, if you look at the non-film industry, there are many companies that have a certain quota that they have to hire women for, and they do that. So I was wondering if that's something that women producers would. It is not a quality thing at all, but I was just trying to explore, because the thing is, in the film industry, women, let's take Tamil cinema, right? It's like Dominique was mentioning. It's still so rare to find women cinematographers, for instance. It's still, and it comes from the fact that earlier the equipment was so heavy that physically it was assumed that women could not do certain things. Mm-hmm. And like Soundarya said, they would be in the makeup department or in the costume department or certain things like that. But it was not a mutually exclusive thing that I thought about at all.
Okay.
So.
All right. Just wanted to clarify that. It's not an idea. As an idea, once you present a duality like that, it somehow implies that it's mutually exclusive, that you're compromising on quality if you're, whether it's women or quality, that those may go together most of the times. So that's all. Thank you.
Yeah.
This one's actually to you.
This is, you're probably asking
That's a
them the
nice
questions.
event where the moderator gets most of the questions.
But it's connected to the fact that, whenever you review films and you're a critic, and all the subjects that you critique, when you've had, say, a drama or a quirky comedy or even a thriller directed by a woman or directed by a producer, cinematic sensibility, were you able to distinguish? Do you think that the women directors had come out with a better hold of the subject? Just your observation.
I would say no, because I would say, give the example of a recent Tamil film that I just saw last week called KD by Madhumita. That's a woman-directed film. And I feel that there are some slight textural things that you find that women in a woman-directed film. But then I just gave the example of Farah Khan as well, because it's I'd look at that film, and if I didn't know who directed that film, I would find it I would not be able to guess who made the film. But again, if you look at a Sanjay Leela Bhansali film, he's a man, but there are so many things about that film that are so exquisite that you may think, but I think that's a false thing that we form, a dichotomy that we form in our heads, that men and women are fundamentally different. I think there's an overlap that varies according to the kind of person. So there are many men that are quote unquote feminine in a lot of ways, and a lot of women who are quote unquote masculine in a lot of ways. So I don't know that that's an easy question to answer. But if I saw something like maybe the movie that she mentioned, again, I can imagine a Rituparna Ghosh handling that kind of film. So I don't know that that's just if it's that easy a question to answer. Would any of you like to take that on?
I mean, would you have thought Hurt Locker was made by a woman or a man?
Which one?
Hurt Locker. It's the content.
But I mean, in general, I feel like we should move beyond the binaries of feminine and masculine.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
I mean,
I
it's
think that's the main thing.
Which is why I did the quotes, because it's a dangerous thing.
Like a film like Kissa, I think Kissa like handled that sort of shifting sands of gender so beautifully.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't have mattered if it was made by a man or a woman because it kind of like
No,
really
I
went
don't
to
think the question was does it matter. The question was more like would you be able to sense it? Yeah.
I'm saying even if I'm saying that it shouldn't even I'm saying it shouldn't even be a factor in our consideration of a film.
No, it's not a consideration at all. Yeah.
I wanted to continue with what Aditi was saying earlier on the panel, Natalie from Asian Culture Vulture. You said the return on investment for women-led films was greater because the above-the-line cost was less. Why is it less for a women-led film? Is it because the crew are costing you less? Do your main stars are costing you less?
I mean, it's not an ideal situation, but at the moment it is because fees, if you compare kind of A-list male actors versus female actors, and there are exceptions, there are certainly exceptions, but in general, I'm saying the trend is that the above-the-line costs for a female cast are less, and this isn't just true for India. I mean, this is true for across the world. I was reading a study about how I think it was Tina Fey, and how the Tina Fey comedy model has just become a tremendously successful model because those films end up continuously making money because they're not plagued by these massive cast fees at the outset.
Just to carry on from that just quickly, but then that puts you in an awkward position as a producer, right? Or as a female producer, because surely you want to give equality in terms of what people are earning, but also you're the producer, so you want to make as much money as possible.
So I would say that again, I'm going to say that these things change when cultures change. When we're not so dependent on the idea that the only way for a producer to be successful is to make a film that is going to make $1 billion, and success changes, I think in general we'll find that cast fees, we as producers, we become less dependent on those like kind of really A+++ cast, and I think that helps everybody, not just women.
There's one example that I'd like to give you I was speaking to a Tamil film producer from Chennai, and he said that there is such a disparity between the crowds that will come to a male-oriented movie. And he's not talking about it from the star point of view. It's like the audience point of view. So there is such a disparity between the number of people that will watch a big male star movie versus the number of people that will watch a big female star movie. So the above-the-line star cost or whatever automatically kind of adjusts itself that way because there is such a difference. So I don't know how it is in other places like France, but that's how it is. I think sometimes that determines what people are paid as well, because if within the stars or whatever.
I would talk about the audience in France rather than about the cast. More than, the main audience for art house cinema in France is and it's about 70%. It's women, educated women who are in their 40s mainly and up to whatever. And this is the main audience for art house film in France. This is our audience.
Okay.
And the youngster, whatever, and I don't know about men and women, are more into mainstream films.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, can I just add one thing to I think, it's important to look at India as a unique market and space. I think there's a place for both types of films. And I think what we should be doing as independent producers and women and generally people who like cinema is to ask for more theaters, more infrastructure, kind of more places and ways to exhibit, because there's, I think some of the male cast who do demand those kinds of fees, I think it's fully deserved in many ways, because they're also able to connect like that to the crowd and pull in those kind of audiences, and there should be no apology for that. But I think that the space should exist for more, and at this point what we should be demanding, rather than kind of talking amongst ourselves, is to demand from the government and lobby the government for more infrastructure, more screens, more ability for all of us to show more films and earn more money.
Please do that if you're at IFFI. So you should do that right now. But thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for this session, and thank you, audience. Yeah.